Hi, welcome to this week's edition of 26 Minutes with the show that is about inspiring people to lead and make an impact and create positive change on the planet. And our guest, again, is no exception to that rule. Dr. Mike Coulas is a chiropractor who, for more than 24 years, has been caring for families and helping patients achieve transformational wellness results. Dr. Coulas is extremely passionate about chiropractic care and facilitating people to live an awakened life. And I want to get to that too. He's a sought after speaker, a wellness coach, and a guest on numerous radio shows where he enjoys sharing ways to decrease stress on the body, mind, and spirit. And boy, we've had a helping, heaping, fill of stress over the past 3.5 years. Dr. Coulas has been a longtime resident of Whitby, Ontario, just east of Toronto, and continues to support the community as a trainer for various minor league sports teams. Dr. Mike Coulas also holds a Doctor of Chiropractic from the Canadian Memorial Chiropractic College in North York, receiving both clinical and academic honors in 1997, and he practices chiropractic, acupuncture, and various forms of energy work. Welcome, Dr. Coulas. Dr. Mike.
Thanks for having me, David. Thank you for sharing me with your audience. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
I am too. And I think the first thing I was thinking of before interviewing you today was, what are you seeing in your patients these days, especially after the sort of the effects of stress and even medical treatments that were sort of suggested? What are you seeing in your patients now over the past sort of 3.5 years?
Yeah, over the past 3.5 years, there's a lot of people that came into this really scared, and they were willing to do whatever it took to kind of get through it, and that's kind of what we were told to do. But as you start, watching this unfold, it's not like you're just going to, flatten the curve and stay at home for 2 weeks and then everything's going to go away. What you're realizing is there's a long-term process of, not only getting healthy, but staying healthy. And what you're going to realize is that you got to live life. And one of the most important things we need to do is actually to be out in nature, get back connected, breathe fresh air, go out in the sunshine, get some exercise, reconnect to Mother Earth. So the people that I saw that were able to continue to live, they're doing well. The ones that were, kind of living in fear, some of them have checked out. They're not here anymore, which is unfortunate, but there's been a lot more people like that I would like to see too, David.
Have the medical ailments or what people are coming to you wanting, how has that changed since then too? Like, what are you seeing when somebody comes in? Is there a certain kind of complaint that sort of that you're seeing more now than ever before? And if so, what is that?
Well, I found that there was a lot of people that were in that state of stress, and what it does is it's activating their sympathetic nerve system, that fight or flight. And when you're in that state, your body's not going to heal and regenerate properly. And there was a lot of people coming in with, chest pain, difficulty breathing, they were feeling it in their back, in their body. And they were, a lot of it was self-induced, which most ailments really are. They kind of start at this mental, emotional level. And occasionally there is a significant physical trauma, but a lot of this stuff is set up on this subtle emotional, mental level. And then it actually manifests in dis-ease in their body. And then they're coming to somebody else like myself to say, how can you fix me, doc? Or can you fix it for me? And what I would like to coach my patients to do is not only start feeling better, but also learning how to stay better. Start learning to take responsibility for their health and doing the things they need to do to get healthy and stay healthy. So that's my, what I want to coach. I want to lead my patients to realize one of the most important things is it's a saying in chiropractic, but I don't know if you've heard this before, David, that the power that made the body heals the body. And it's not that I have some special powers to heal you. You have that power inside you. You just need to stop the interference from your brain getting through your spinal cord out to all the cells and tissues of your body. There's this separation from the brain to the body that's causing disease too.
So it's the mind-body connection. So how can we manage our thoughts and our beliefs and that fear in order to heal the body rather than create more tension, more stress, more worry? Like what are some steps we can do to sort of heal and really, tap into our thoughts and our brain and what we're thinking on a day-to-day basis?
I think the most important thing, David, is awareness. Having an awareness of what are you thinking, and how does it make you feel? And is there something you can do to like change that in the moment? And if there's not, something you can do to change it, like you should not be worrying about it. This worry is actually causing all kinds of health problems.
You and I, well, you being a chiropractor, one fellow I follow, and I'm sure you do too, is Dr. Joe, right? Dr. Joe Dispenza, who also a chiropractic background, and then, was in a severe accident and healed himself along with, medical care, but healed himself with his thoughts alone. Talk to us a little bit about that. Like, how does, like, I can't imagine how focused and how mindful he had to be as far as managing his thought process in order to see himself healing and walking out of there.
Well, when he was diagnosed, well, it was in that bad accident, and they
Mhm.
said he would never walk again. And, he said that if he walked again, he would dedicate his life to spreading the message of how to heal. And he healed himself without doing the surgeries and all the things that they were proposing for him. So that was amazing. And really, he knew that the power that made his body could heal his body, but he had to change his old programming, his old thought patterns, the disbelief. And it's true. I've been training with Dr. Joe intimately for many years. I've done his like week-long seminars, and yeah, you just see the amazing results and the amount of change that people go through in those audiences. Like there's thousands of people there meditating together and seeing the change day after day. People getting better from all kinds of crazy diseases, whether it's cancer or multiple sclerosis or vision problems. Like the body really miraculous can heal from anything, and I believe that.
Now, you call yourself the awakened life chiropractor. So, what goes into that awakened life? What's your approach that maybe other chiropractors aren't getting into it? And you've already alluded to it. Like you study with Dr. Joe, you believe in this mind body connection, how our thoughts and how our bodies and our minds, the mind that created us, can also heal us. Uh, um, Tell us what goes into that sort of, your approach as a chiropractor, being, an awakened life chiropractor. I find that kind of fascinating, actually.
Well, David, I believe everybody's doing the best they can at their level of consciousness. And what we're realizing as you start evolving your consciousness and waking up, you see the world differently and you actually change yourself and you start reflecting back to you, just higher level lessons. And it really is amazing. But it's really about waking up to a higher level of consciousness and really looking closely beyond the five senses and really using your intuition and realize that there's guidance being sent to us by this it's almost like a sixth sense, but we are being guided, and it really is kind of it can be fun too. You don't have to like suffer in moments, even if you're in pain. There's maybe a lesson to be learned from that. And what's your body telling you? Your body's always talking to you. It's giving you messages to try to help you. So you kind of look at things with gratitude and appreciation instead of like fear of, what would be the worst case scenario if I'm feeling this. So I like to just, live an awakened life myself. And as I wake up, I like to pass it on to my patients too.
And you follow thinkers like Neville Goddard, of course, Dr. Joe. Anybody else that comes to mind that's influenced you and how you work and how you work with your clients and run your practice?
Well, I've had a lot of great influences. I think it started off maybe in high school where I was like really motivated by Anthony Robbins and his powerful, programs that we, would do. And then I started getting more into spirituality when I started listening to Wayne Dyer. And
Mm.
Wayne Dyer was a great influence in my life. And, I would do his morning manifestation meditations and start the day off right that way. And then even in chiropractic college, we would bring in speakers like other chiropractors, like Dr. John DeMartini, and guys that were in The Secret. And so once you start kind of going down some of these paths, it just is endless. The people that they connect with, and then you start listening to Dr. Bruce Lipton and Biology of Belief, and then Greg Braden, and these are some of the top guys that I've been really immersing myself in, and really every day there's new people that are helping me wake up. So there's a lot of information out there right now. So I follow my heart and I get guided to listen to different interviews, different podcasts like what you're doing here too, and it changes my life when I put the right information into my mind.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that approach a lot because it is our beliefs and our thoughts. Thoughts become things, as what's his name?
Mike Dooley. Mike
Mike
Dooley
Dooley
said,
cut. Yeah, right. And in even as you alluded to as well, Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay. You can heal your life, and so but sort of regular medicine doesn't really focus on that. They focus on, well, here's a pill to help you with these symptoms, but they're not giving you the life instruction manual that maybe the symptoms are a cause of something deeper inside you that you need to heal. What's your take on that? And I know it's a risky take because we're not denouncing, I don't want to denounce regular traditional medicine, but on the other hand, I think it needs a shift.
yeah, and it is gonna shift. We're gonna go back and realize that the body was made basically to heal itself. The natural state of the human body is it wants to be well, but we are being bombarded by so many stresses and toxins and thoughts that can put us into that state of fight or flight, and it does. That's what's causing the sickness and disease. So we need to get back to the basics and start learning how to naturally take care of this body that we've been given. It's really been a gift, and when you start really loving your body, and it's kind of hard to say because it's kind of egotistical, but this self-love is something that's really lacking on the planet right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to start by loving ourselves and realizing we're worthy of that love and kindness, and then do the kind things, the tender, loving, kind things that we need to do to keep our body healthy.
Yeah, and if we're good to ourselves, we're going to be good to other people, and that's the old golden rule, right? Love yourself as you would love your neighbor as you would thyself.
Yes, and it kind of starts with yourself, because you can't really love anybody else unless you are doing that self-love.
Yeah.
And we haven't been really programmed to do that from a young age.
No, we haven't at all. Yeah, and yeah, it's pretty brutal. We're also in a crisis, right? And this isn't a new crisis, but to me, it's gotten worse over the past 5 years, and that's the mental health crisis. Again, what you alluded to a few things. Get into nature, be in sunshine. Self-care, meditation, train your brain. What can we do to sort of lessen this sort of mental health crisis? My MP in my area is actually, she's now the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions. And I laugh at that because it's like, you're the the Liberal government, you're the minister for this. It's like you're causing half of the mental health issues, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is a big problem because it really is a mental world. Like everything is mental, and it comes down to like how you can perceive something and then what sort of meaning do you put on it. But we do need to get back to like nature, see the beauty all around us, stop just looking at screens all the time. We need to get out and actually connect with other people. We're supposed to be connecting to people, right? Not be isolated. So like you said, what's been going on the last 3.5 years, it's really had a big effect on mental health for sure.
Mhm. And all ages, young kids, and so I think there's a lot of work to be done in order to alleviate some of this mental health crisis. And I don't believe it's just like, well, here, take a drug, this will make you feel better. It's not just about that. It's about good self-care. And
Yes.
then and also having a team like you, having a chiropractor, massage therapist, you do acupuncture as well, good nutrition, good sleep. All of these things go into it, no?
Yeah, those are all important things. They're all natural things that we need to be doing. And unfortunately, we're in a society too that kind of is so fast paced that we're like looking for quick fixes, and you don't have time to feel the pain in your body, so just take a painkiller, or you're covering up these things that are as your body's like talking to you, and it'll talk with little symptoms at first, but eventually it's going to shout at you, and it's going to really end up with a serious pathological disease instead of just a dis-ease in your body if you don't listen to it properly.
There's a modality, Dr. Mike, called body talk, and that's
Yeah.
talking to your body. Do you practice that? And what have you heard about that, talking to your body and talking to the pain, and what's that pain teaching you, or what does it want from you? What's your familiarity and take on that?
I love body talk, and I'm not a trained body talk practitioner, but I do similar things, and I've had body talk practitioners work on me, and I've learned a lot from them. And there's a whole formula to it, but as you start getting in tune, a lot of this stuff intuitively, we know a lot more about what's going on with somebody else's body, and even your own body. A lot more about your own body when you just start like tapping in and listening to it. So we do want to talk to our body. The other thing is your body's always talking to you. It's giving you little signs and symptoms all the time, whether it's that, tingling in your up your spine, or you get that, gut feeling. Like if you're doing something that's really maybe not, maybe even just telling a lie to somebody, you get this gut feeling. You'd like, oh, that's not very good for you. And unfortunately, sometimes we're even like lying to ourselves, and we know when we're doing that too. That's not good for us either.
Yeah. Um, we're with Dr. Mike Coulas, who, tapped into this week's edition of 26 Minutes With, the show about inspiring leaders, really showcasing, people, change agents, and people making an impact. A lot of your work, you talk about this notion of energy blocks. And what are those, and why do we have to be aware of an energy block? And how does that show up in the body too? Oh boy, I asked
Well,
you 3 questions there. Good luck.
well, in chiropractic, they have this saying: the body heals from above, down, inside out. So that's kind of the flow from your brain through your spinal cord, and from the inside of that core spinal cord out to all the peripheral cells and tissues of your body. So there's this flow of energy, and it actually doesn't just stop at our physical body. There's this toroidal flow, like a big donut of energy that's coming in from the crown, and it's going through all of our energy centers. There's often called chakras, and there's a number of them that are kind of in our midline, and they go through, and these energy centers can allow the energy to flow in a healthy, more balanced way. If the chakras or these energy centers are offline, or if there's a blockage in your neck or your back, even in your heart, these are going to stop the energy from flowing properly, and it builds up resistance. It's almost like a beaver dam stopping the flow of the water. And eventually, it builds up to the point where that pressure can cause a problem. And that's why we want to start clearing these energy centers, letting the energy flow, have a clear spine. And there's not only physical blockages, but there's mental, emotional, spiritual blockages too, like from the way we were thinking too, like we were talking about earlier. It really is it's a mind, body, spirit program here.
Yeah, and these blocks can, be from when you were a kid, like maybe you had a trauma or a loss or something happened to you that you weren't able to fully comprehend as a kid or to heal as a kid, but it stays with you, right? A pattern, it's called patterns, patterns of behavior. I always, like for me, I attract a certain woman. Why? Because it's something I learned due to something that happened when I was 10 years old.
Yes. Yeah, that program, most of it happens even before the age of 7. And there is all kinds of traumas. Everybody has had a traumatic life. First of all, just coming out of your mother's uterus, you're floating in this amniotic fluid, and there's like little to no gravity on you. And then you get pushed out through the birth canal, and then you're like full of gravity. You can't walk. Now you have to breathe for yourself. Somebody's slapping you on the butt, and you're, you're like traumatized. And then if your mother doesn't, feed you right away, you're traumatized. You're left in in the crib too long, or wet diaper. There's all kinds of traumas, but these are traumas that do get ingrained in our body, and they do block energy. And you don't have to know what all those traumas were, because some of them you won't even remember. But you want to start learning how to let that energy flow peacefully through your body, instead of it being blocked at these trauma blocks or these patterns, right?
Yeah. So is pain and disease, is it hereditary, or is it more what like what we went through, the early traumas as kids? I remember reading 2 books in a row this spring, and both authors talked about their childhood trauma with an abusive alcoholic parent. So are these energy blocks, is the pain in our body, is it hereditary more, or is it more circumstantial, like based on the traumas and the experiences we went through when we were younger, that we weren't able to mentally totally understand and work with? What's your take?
I think, well, I know it's both. Really, what's happening is we're getting programmed from our parents. Like even in utero, you're getting the chemistry of what your mother is thinking while she's pregnant with you. You're getting that blood chemistry, and you're getting, even what she's eating and what cravings she's got. But it also goes back even into her ancestry line too, because her programming came from them. So it just keeps passing down from generation to generation. So there's this, even if it's in your genetics, it's also deeply programmed into your mental programming. And then whatever culture you're born into, you automatically get that. You get the religion your parents are taking you to, and you're getting all this programming from a very early age. And then you got to remember that we're a lot bigger than that. We don't have to always play out the programs that we had in childhood. It's a big thing of remembering who you really are.
We're I'm really finding this fascinating. We talked about pain and pain being a teacher. How can we talk to our pain body, and what are some responses our pain body might give us as a way to make a shift in how we're caring for ourselves?
Yeah, I'm studying the pain body, and Eckhart Tolle is great about talking about the pain body. I'm not sure if your listeners are familiar with his work, but we actually can dramatize the pain so much that you're feeding it, and it becomes bigger and bigger, where we could acknowledge it and kind of often let it flow through us instead of resisting it. And that's often a way to let go of the pain. And the other part is the pain is an interpretation of these irritated nerves maybe in our brain, but it's really in our head. So we put this meaning on it and it's interpreted in our brain, but we can actually let a lot of it go and have the suffering be very optional. It's not necessarily something we have to like really dramatize, and it often will go away when you don't feed that pain.
You know, you just brought up, I remember years ago after my marriage breakup, I ended up in a chair at Landmark Education. I did the forum, right? And this
Right.
is a worldwide organization that's transforming lives, every day, and communities as well. And I remember in the forum, because I did the curriculum for living, so I did 3 courses, or actually 4. But anyway, they said that life is meaningless and empty, right? So, and everybody's like, no, it's not. How do you say that, right? And it's like, well, it depends on what you put meaning to things. Like they say we're meaning making machines.
Yes, it's so true. And even someone like Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning, he survived, concentration camp, those conditions, and he saw the people that survived were the ones that put a positive twist or a meaning, or saw, a bright future coming. They could survive anything, when you put the right meaning on it, and that's kind of what we've been talking about with, the right mindset, and I've been working on that too. So I think that's very true.
Yeah, and Dr. Joe Dispenza had to do that, with the healing his body from a horrific crash, right? Um,
Yes.
the other thing in Landmark too, and you've already alluded to it, that we keep our pain alive by always talking about it. Like it's a bit of like hypochondria. My hip's bothering me and this, and I'm not well, and right. I have older friends who that's all they talk about. And I say older, like, they're about late 70s. And it's like we perpetuate, if we keep repeating the story, we perpetuate the pain.
Absolutely. That's what's that story is so dear to our ego. We often will lead to that, like, oh man, I'm a cancer survivor, and like, all the, it's a big dramatic story, and we give it energy when we do that, right? So you got to watch where you put your attention, and what you want to give energy to.
Exactly. And yeah, like thank God you survived it and you've healed it and you've come out the other side of cancer. But stop talking about it, because it's not going to make it any better. Um, we're almost out of time here. I want to talk about also to another phenomenon over the past 3 years is this notion of grief, especially maybe in the last 2, because the life we knew and the life we had before March 2020 is very different now. And so there's been a lot of losses, whether it's people in our family or job losses or how we worked, going to the office and, talking to the buddies at work or at the water cooler about the Leafs. There's a lot of grief that's present just due to these losses. And I feel we're also losing a part of our old selves. That old programming is falling by the wayside as well. And we need to be more open and more in tune with what's going on. How does grief play out in health and in the health of your patients, Mike? What are you seeing?
Well, grief, it's normal. As a human being, we've got all these feelings, and it's great to feel them. Even for myself, my dad passed, the end of 2020, and it wasn't an easy time to, watch him. But at the same time, I believe there's a divine plan for all this, and we're all kind of going through these changes. The only constant thing that's happening, David, is things are changing. That's the constant, is change. So you can either resist the change, or you can flow with it. And when something happens, you can decide what meaning you want to put on it. In that chapter that I wrote about a term called pronoia, and it's the opposite of paranoia. And when and Albert Einstein said this in a way too. He said the most important decision you can make every day is decide if you live in a hostile universe or a friendly universe. And if you see everything that's happening as friendly, you realize this is happening for you, not against you. And you can again put the meaning you want on it and realize, hey, we're flowing through this change and it's something I can learn from. And maybe it'll feel good, maybe it doesn't feel good. So I try to look at things differently. And you're right, there is a lot of changes, but there's going to be a lot more changes. And I think they're even speeding up right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think, well, I don't think we've seen anything yet. And I'm also positive or hopeful that it's going to be more positive, that we're going to make a shift as a humanity to be more loving, more kinder, and more accepting. I just have a feeling like because we were talking off air before we started our interview today about what's going on in the Middle East, and we both feel that we need to be kinder and gentler and loving and strive for peace. And it's 2023 already, and my view is like, let's stop the BS and these behaviors of arguing, I'm right, you're wrong, you're this, I'm that, and just grow up and let's get together and work together to make this place a better place.
Yeah, I think the big picture of it all, David, is we came from this oneness and we came down here and then we separated into individuals and we played that out for a long time. And I believe we're coming back to the unity and that oneness. And as we start evolving our consciousness, we will start seeing our brothers and sisters as that person, like our neighbor. You should love your neighbor or treat your neighbor like you would like to be treated. And if everybody did that, the world would be a much better place. And I think we're going there.
Yeah, I like my neighbor to take me out to a ball game once in a while, out for dinner, so maybe my expectations are too high, I don't know.
No, take somebody out for a ball game, because
Yeah,
that's the way it works. Is you do it and it's gonna come back, and you're out at the ball game anyways. You're having fun.
exactly. But well, I don't drink beer, but whatever. Your approach, the last question kind of is like, your approach is very different from other chiropractors because you're blending these sort of the chiropractic care, but you're really big on this sort of spiritual approach, the mind-body connection, the positivity. You've learned from the masters. How has that helped you in your practice, and how does that differentiate you from maybe others in your field?
Well, I don't know if you know, my beginning story was I was helped dramatically by chiropractic, where my body was shutting down for blocked nerve flow. And when I was helped through specific adjustments, I knew right away that this is something I wanted to spread to the world. And I studied very hard physically. I did really well even in the clinical part of it. So then you realize, wow, you want to bring this to the world. But as you start really even reading deep into the philosophy of chiropractic, some of the original chiropractors, they said the biggest problem in our world is the separation from our source.
Mm.
And we can look at separation from maybe our brain to the body, but the bigger source of all of this source that created all of this, that's what we need to get reconnected to. And that's what I've been working on. It's a never-ending journey, and I'm having some joy in the journey as I share it with others. And I want other people to like wake up to that ability to have joy in the journey as they really discover who they are. Know thyself is what we need to find out.
Yeah, know thyself. Yeah, for sure. And even, Jewish philosopher and doctor way back when, Maimonides also practiced the same thing, the the connection to source. Like, you just can't practice medicine. You have to tap into the bigger mind, right? Yeah, amazing work. We're we're kind of out of time here, but I always leave time for shameless self-promotion. Where do we connect with you? And what do you have going on that we might need to know about? Are there any special workshops or classes or?
Well, my office is in Whitby. It's Awaken Life Chiropractic and Wellness Center. And I have a website, www.awakenlifechiropractic.com. And, I am looking to put myself more out there. So if there is podcasts or interviews or, community events, I haven't been doing as many as I would like. And I used to do a lot more, but now, the podcasting thing is coming back. So I'm really glad to be on, shows like this, get out on YouTube. But sharing the information, you can either come see me in person in Whitby, or send me an email, and I can find time to do the podcast or do some sharing of information. As you teach this information, I learn it more myself. It reinforces how I should be living as well. So
Yeah.
thank you, David, for sharing me with your audience today.
Oh, it's been a joy. And you live in such a beautiful place. Whitby is only about 40 minutes, 45-minute drive from Toronto. And I'm talking, I'm in North York. So it's about a 45-minute drive. If traffic's okay, it's 40. And you could do it in a half hour, but we won't talk about that because it's illegal. However, as far as nature goes, South Whitby, you're right at the lake. You all around there's nature trails. Lynn Shores is a beautiful place to go, and if you bring bird feed and put it in your hand, the little chickadees will come right to your hand and eat it out of your hand, the bird feed. So there's some beautiful places, and of course, just north is places like Port Perry, and you're in Coburg, also by the lake, just further east. So it's a beautiful spot. Make a day of it. Go see Dr. Mike. Go connect, and just make a day of it. It's a nice spot, and there's some. Oh, and they've opened up some nice restaurants in downtown Whitby finally. So it's got a bit more life. And if you need a tattoo, I think there's about 3 of them in downtown Whitby as well, right? So
Yeah, it's got a little bit of everything here in Whitby, and it's a beautiful town, and you're close to the city if you need to, and you're also close to get out in nature, and that's what I like to do. I like to spend more time out in nature and reconnecting to Mother Earth, and that's part of one of the most important things we could all do to get more healthy. I've actually signed up for this Park X prescription, so you can actually prescribe my patients to go and spend time in nature. And it's people are showing that this helps with mental health and all kinds of other problems too. So I just thought that was a great idea, that give people prescription, you get actually a rebate or free pass to parks that
yeah,
you might have had to pay for. So that I thought, oh, I'm going to sign up for that. I think everybody should do that.
yeah. You could start your own meetup group too. With your patients. Yeah,
Yes, for sure.
yeah. Dr. Mike, what a joy. Hopefully we got a little lesson in better caring for ourselves, and thinking differently about our medical choices in terms of how we can heal. And really important, I think, if you learned anything today, I think it's that mind-body connection is super important, and really governs everything in terms of our medical and our healing journey.
Absolutely. It starts with your mindset and your beliefs, and then you can create more empowering, positive beliefs for yourself, and you start living that way. Your whole life will change.
Yeah, totally. Again, awakenedlife chiropractic.com, awakenedlifechiropractic.com to learn more about you. What a joy today. I really appreciate this, and I wish you much health and success in what you're doing.
Thank you, David. You as well.
Thanks. That was Mike Coulas. He joined us from his office in Whitby today. And just as we close the show, I want to thank you for listening. Make sure you like our YouTube channel and comment and get in touch with us. My website is yourbigventure.com if you want to connect. In the meantime, join us next week. We've got a very fascinating chat with Bishop Donna Hubbard from the US, and we're talking about her work in child sex trafficking. And it's going to be not maybe an easy topic, but also fascinating in terms of the work that her organization is doing. It's a nonprofit organization doing some really amazing things. So that's next week. In the meantime, have a really good week. Stay well, stay healthy, and we'll see you then.